So what kind of sample size we need to be able to represent the population, for example, or if we're looking at a very specific subsegment of the population, how many people we wish to interview or send our survey to, or collect data from. Well, first of all, sample size varies dramatically or drastically between quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative research, generally speaking, requires a much larger sample size, where qualitative studies could have a really focused yet very small sample size. Let me make an example. For quantitative research, the rule of thumb is that you start from 150 individuals. Individuals, that is unit of analysis, whether it's person, animals, or businesses. However, for a qualitative study, you could have as low as just one individual or one company. Of course, that means you have a very focused case study of that individual. Okay. However, this sample size is not just based on rule of thumb, of course. The sample size is actually based on something called a Z distribution. And that Z distribution is assuming the confidence interval of 95%. That is saying that to get a 95% confident interval in terms of any conclusion for a quantitative research, you need to have such and such numbers of samples for such and such size of population. Okay? So, how can we use this sample size population table? That's a table that's available in the core textbook, Saunders textbook. If you search online, it's also a well-used sample size reference table. So the first column here is representing the size of the population. The second column is basically the margin of error. So it starts from the margin of error of 5%. So 5% margin of error indicate that you're 95% confident that your results are right. Instead, your 5%, there is a probability of 5% that your result from this research is incorrect. So, for example, if we want to represent the whole population of UK, which is more than 70 million, then you can see that it's actually beyond the population table listed here. It goes all the way up to 10 million. However, as you can see, as soon as the population size approach beyond 100,000, the 5% margin of error sample size hasn't really changed much. And that number at the bottom of the table, 384, is actually the gold line here. It indicates that, even the number increased to 100 million, 384 sample, well, this is random select sample, will have a good representation of your population. All right. Then where's that 150 comes from? That 150 is a rule of thumb that is not based on the margin of error table. Instead, it's based on experience of random sampling. So for now, you just need to remember that for a decent piece of research, quantitative research, it's 384. However, for your postgraduate research, you could have a much smaller sample size. Sample size is not taking into too much consideration in your dissertation.